Hey guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we're going to learn two more TestNG attribute helper. One is enabled, another one is timeout. So what is enable or use case? It can be used, enable attribute to ignore or disable certain test method while executing the test classes. So if you have any method and some reason this method is failing, it's a known method that is failing for XYZ reason, and so every time you execute that method will show on your report is failed, and it's known, right? And it has some dependency, so developer is working. So you want to ignore that method, you want to disable that method for now, until it's fixed. That time you can, whether you can commit out or you can, use smartly enable attribute helper. So it's better to use enable attribute other than, the commit that method. Because commit, you can commit any code and it will ignore, but this is not the smart way to handle it. And sometimes, it is one of the interview questions, right? So your answer should be that I can use enabled, attribute from TestNG so that we can ignore that method or that test cases, other than just saying that, commit it. And what is the syntax? Syntax is like whatever you have at the red tests, and then you will use enable equals to false. Because every method, when you create any method with a test at annotation, by default enable equals to true. We don't write it because it's the default behavior for any test method is, you can say default value is true. Enable default value is true, that we don't write it. But if you want to make it false or skip it, you have to type enable equals to false. We'll see an example. And then the timeout. Timeout, it's like, it is like apply another local wait. We see this, we know this explicitly, implicitly wait, similar like a timeout. So while running test method, there can be, cases where certain test method gets stuck or may take a longer time to complete than expected. In such case, TestNG allows user to configure a period, a specific time period to wait for a test to complete execution before it throw any exception or any fail. Okay, and the syntax is that similarly, like after at the red test, you can say timeout equals to, so say 5,000 milliseconds, which is the 5 seconds. Okay, let's see. Let's go to our Eclipse. So here is our Eclipse. So in our Eclipse, same, as our previous, the class we have covered, use the demo class. We'll use the same class, and we have a method, 3 methods, test method over here, hello method, last method, and also display method. And over here, last method, we had a dependency on the display method. Let's remove the dependency for now. Okay, for now, remove the dependency. And we said, like, run this, always run true for this last method. So here, we see this over here, display method. So display method, we know that it's failed. We made it fail. Assert equals, we're saying hello and hi. So it's not matching. So definitely this method will fail, right? Let me run it and show once again. So you can see the report. So 3 test cases run, 2 pass, 1 fail. There's no escapes, and you can see, here is a report. You can see the failed one is the display method. Failed one is the display method, right? So assume that this display method, whatever the reason, it's a known fail. We know this method is failing, and it has some dependency developer. They are working on it, and you want to skip this method from your execution. To do this, we know that we can commit it, right? You can commit it, but this is not the best practice. Or even if interviewer answer, it's not a best practice, because we have an attribute helper, TestNG attribute helper, which is called enable, right? All we can say, we can add over here beside your priority. Here we can say enable. Okay, let's add the enable over here. Enabled equals to false. Okay, false. Let's add this one. So enable value by default is true. That's why it means, true, it means execute this method. And when I say false, it means, skip this method. So now we're expecting, to skip this method. So save it. Let's run it again. Here we go. You can see, it's ran 2 test cases and passed both of them. There's no failure, no skips. It means it doesn't show over here because this method got completely ignored. So if you see the result, even here, the pass is hello and last. So hello got to execute, hello method got to execute, and the last method got to execute. And this method, display method, got completely ignored. So that way it's skipped, but it doesn't count over here. Even if you see the output from here, all test here, let's see, you can see test demo. So this is our class. There's a 2 method got execute, hello and last. So display got completely ignored. Okay, so this is the use case of enable equals to false. Okay, and next one, the use case of the timeout. So assume that let's see about our first test cases, like the hello. Assume that this test cases is taking longer time than your expected expectation time. Whatever the element inside over here, it's taking long time to load it, and as a result, if your element or object takes a longer time than your expectation, then this method will fail if your driver not able to locate it, like falling. Even we know that, so we can use your implicitly wait or explicitly wait. Apart from there, if you can add also another local wait for a specific method, so this will be applicable to only this method, so that that wait time will apply in this method. And if any element inside this method takes longer time to load it, or it's takes longer time even from the server, whatever the reason, it will not throw as a fail or throw an exception until it's complete that wait time over here. So just to add include the wait time over here, it's very simple. Similarly, you can add over here like at the rate test beside this your priorities, and then make a comma, and then you can add timeout equals to, it's on milliseconds, so 5000 milliseconds, it means 5 seconds. Okay, so you can add your timeout attribute over here too. This time it will not make any difference because we didn't put any real object that takes longer time. This is just print statement. So if we just save it and run it, the report will be the same. You can see the report will be same, there will be no difference, but this is the use case. So 2 passes and no failure, and you can see last and hello, it's got to execute, and this one got skipped as it is. The display got skipped as it is because of enable false. But here, this is the use case of our for timeout attribute helper. Okay, so that's pretty much the timeout attribute that we can use. There's a few more timeouts, probably we'll see during our real example when you're going to do, but those are the main 4 different attributes that we use very frequently. Timeout, you can see this like it's enabled, and we still have seen always run, always run, depends on method, and so on. Thank you.